Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I am Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Vanucci, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
Good morning.
Hey, Phil.
Morning.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good, yeah.
Good.
Hey, good.
Good. Yeah. Kenny is on his way somewhere. Oh, there he is. Let me let him in here. Bram, you were somewhere new. Well, new to us. I don't know if new, but
I'm in Arizona. Yeah.
oh wow. All right.
Yeah.
Bram's the only guy in Arizona who's coming home the day before Super Bowl.
That's true. Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy here. There's also the waste management golf.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems just like bad timing all around. Like, as in,
Yes.
couldn't they just get along and decide, hey, maybe we can bump out the waste management a week so people can actually get a hotel? Like,
Yeah.
and people are pretty crazy at that waste management. Like, I've seen like the crowds get insane, and it's
Oh, yeah.
kind of like the Kentucky Derby of golf tournaments.
It's kind of I've been to one of the waste management. Like, I was surprised at how, because golf is pretty it's pretty tame. Like, most days you go watch golf, it's not a big deal, but the waste management one is like, I don't know.
It's like
It's special,
crazy.
right? Like,
Yeah.
you almost expect the Green Bay Packer cheeseheads to come out to that game. I don't know. Like, I don't know what happens in those tourneys. Like, why
I know.
that one in particular, right? Like,
Yeah. I think
Is that
people
a-
are they've been pent up for too long and maybe haven't played enough golf because they live in the north and they come down there and they just let loose. But
Is
yeah,
it a
they kinda lose
pro-am
their
or is
minds.
it a pro-am or what is it?
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
pro-am was yesterday.
Is that what it is? Is that what the
No, waste
Waste management?
management's an actual tournament, right? I think.
Yeah.
It's like a sponsored tour? I don't watch golf. I watch some of the big games and that's it. I'm not an avid follower.
Yeah, no,
Interesting.
waste management is part of I think it's actually like, it's a sponsored PGA
On the tour?
event. Yeah. So they do have like the pro-am at the beginning, but like the actual, because I don't know.
Yeah.
I think I was in Arizona like doing a speaking gig. And so like it was there. So all right, I'll go. Like, someone said, I got tickets. You want to go? Okay, I'll go. And then I was really like, I'd been to the Canadian Open. You kind of go,
Yeah.
okay, and like, it's really quiet. And you go, yay, okay, quiet,
Right,
quiet, like, and
Little
they're
clap, yeah.
heckling. Yeah, they're heckling putters. I'm like, what are you doing? Someone's gonna, oh my God, I don't understand what's happening. Right. So it's a bit.
Yeah, I've been to a couple Canadian Opens, and I was at one in Montreal, and it was very much like golf clap, very quiet. Tiger actually didn't make the cut that year.
Yeah.
But I also went to one at Glen Abbey where the one where he hit the green from on his second shot
Yeah.
on 18, and
that was stupid.
It was like the legendary golf shot, and you're
Yeah.
watching it live, in person, and
Yeah.
everybody was going
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing, man. Well, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, happy to be back.
Thanks for having us on. Yeah.
Yeah. No, this is gonna be fun. We were gonna kind of talk about I think the new stuff going on, and then how things are going with the two of you. So for the audience, like, we've got Bram Warshawski on, and we've got Jeff Doucette. So Bram runs Shelfgram, and Jeff is Field Agent Canada. You've now heard his commercial on the podcast. But we thought we'd bring them on because they're doing some pretty cool things that our brands. We have brands on there that love it, and I think there should be more brands that we know that should be on there and love this too, because it's a pretty amazing both of you guys are doing amazing things, and you're doing even more amazing things together. So anyway, I'm gonna shut up and let the two of you talk now. Yeah. Do you want to tell us what's going on with the two of you?
Yeah, like, I think we can jump in. I think from a Bram and I connected a little bit, and I don't know if you do many actually podcasts where there's two guests. Like this could be interesting, but
Not many.
Yeah. So, but I think in overall, what we get access to on a weekly basis is 50 categories, hundreds of stores, literally, I don't know what the number is, Bram, but it's hundreds of thousands of photos every week. And we just kind of have this pretty awesome, like, God view of what's happening in retail. And through our partnership, but maybe through the context, especially given the time of the year around new product launches and innovations, and just kind of seeing what's happening out there in the marketplace, but also what's important as brands are getting these new things onto shelf, and are they actually living and dying or dying out there. But I guess for context, Bram and I met, somewhat as frenemies, potential frenemies, a long time ago, where, I guess almost 3 years ago now, probably right around this time, 3 years ago. And probably didn't know what to make of each other, because Field Agent, we're just really good at going and collecting photos of what's happening at retail anywhere across Canada. And Bram had this amazing kind of, what I would characterize at the time as like a dashboard, sort of a Pinterest for retail of, here's all these great photos. And it was one of those awkward moments, is like, is this guy a competitor, or can we collaborate? And, after a couple of great conversations with Bram, we just realized that, hey, we've got a pretty like-minded spirit. We're entrepreneurs at heart. And we just started spitballing ideas. And eventually we came on this idea that we've created together, which is Retail Pipelines.
Very cool.
Yeah. Kenny, I haven't even said hello to you. Good to see you.
You too, bro. How's it going?
Yeah, good, man. Yeah.
Well, the two of them just start talking about pro-ams.
Yeah, exactly.
Turns.
Yeah, I thought this was like a
Goes where it
golf
goes, right?
podcast.
I'm just waking up slowly, just trying to get into this day.
Yeah.
One of the things, like, so I think for listeners is, if you want like context to what these guys are doing that's so very interesting, is I saw your post, Jeff. I think it was you that posted. It was maybe a week ago, maybe a little bit more, but the news about Delissio coming off shelf. And I think, like, if you're listening to this and you're wondering, what do these guys do and why do I care, like, this is a really interesting one, right? Because you just went, look, we have a bird's eye view. We can see these physical boxes coming out of the freezer set, right? And now there's a gap, right? And what do we do with the space, right? So these are things that every brand owner goes, God, I wish I knew about that. I would have done something about it. And it's like, guys, it's right in front of you, right? And I was surprised because you got reactions to the post, but I thought, like, I kind of went a little crazy, because I was like, this is amazing, right? Because this is like literally a moment where if you're a brand, you see this, you've got a moment, right? Like, how do you activate on that? What do you do next? Like, what, and so I think if you're listening,
time is going to be, Nestle's not going to hang on for a year, slowly trickling this out. First off, if retailers know you're going.
Yeah, you're going.
And two, with them, what do they want to hang on to this shit for? So this space is going to get blown up for grabs fast. It's up
for grabs.
Oh yeah,
right. It was up for grabs.
It was. Now, whether it's been reallocated, whether buyers are figured out, whether Dr. Utker or whoever's out there is decided to take it, but there's probably not all of it gone, and there's definitively an opportunity to do something. If you're focused on that side of your business.
Right? We actually had a manufacturer sign up with us that day as soon as the news broke. And I think that's what's exciting, is that, like, Jeff and I sort of had this vision of, like, what if you could do store checks from your laptop and fly across the country and travel back in time and have your whole team, eyes and ears kind of in the store, and then maybe even have an AI help you along the way. But increasingly, I think the industry is buying into that vision and seeing that vision. And it's about sort of institutionalizing that retail execution into the corporate memory. So as new folks join, new companies, I mean, how many times have you had to get up to speed on a new desk, a new category? That ability to time travel, look at the season, understand, pre and post pod change, like who's getting facings, who's losing them, things like that, assess distribution, like do it all basically. But be able to mine that memory. I mean, right now it kind of just like lives on phones here.
I wish I had it.
People live. Yeah.
I wish I had Bronwyn as a buyer, because there was times where, like I know planogramming wasn't the thrill of Phil's life. I heard that on his podcast thing. But see, quite frankly, I enjoyed planogramming, not the physical planogramming, but the concept of planogram and how I wanted things done. Yeah, but shit, I barely remember what I had for breakfast. Never mind 2 planograms ago. Right. Like, and when I was a buyer, what did I didn't have data. We didn't have it. If I happened to had someone in the store who might have taken a picture, which was highly unlikely that there was any evidence of what the planogram was.
Yeah, but how do I translation know? Really, right? The old way is you walk over to the last buyer's desk and you go, "Hey, did we ever try this thing?"
Wow, you did that?
Yeah, maybe. I think so. But it was maybe at the end of my time,
but Phil,
or whatever.
We didn't even do that practice.
Did it work?
No time.
No, not really. Why didn't it work? I don't know.
So at that point, you're thinking, well, okay, that was useless. I'll just do what I want. Right? I mean, what's the worst case? Exactly. I'll do the same thing that they did without knowing that I did it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and for those of us of a certain age, those planogram photos were Polaroids. Not maybe not in Bram's era, but definitely in my era, I had a Polaroid in my bag as a rep.
I have no idea what a Polaroid is, so I can't speak to that.
Okay, sure.
Sorry, guys, a little young.
Except those Polaroid pictures pinned up behind you.
I have no idea what you're talking about. I was not there.
But I think what we've kind of fell upon now with the systematic way of collecting data every week in a category, we're going to 100 stores across the country, representative of the banners, representative of the geography, and giving you like 400 unique stores a month. So you get to see a wide swath of what's happening. And if you're in Ontario and have never been in a Save On Food store, you still get to visit a Save On Food store every week without doing the boondoggle trip to Vancouver to see it. But you also have this ability over time, as we go from month to month, to jump in the time machine, like Bram was saying, and saying, hey, this store was visited on February 5th, but it was also visited last October and last July and last March. So let's go through the time machine and see how that set has evolved. And Bram and I were looking at some pictures yesterday in the cat litter category, and it just told a consistently bad story of Udderstocks over time. It wasn't just that one day. We visited that same store 6 times, and it looked like crap, pardon the pun, all 6 times, right? So it doesn't just highlight the historical, but it also highlights the trend of this isn't just a one-off. The store didn't get its delivery. This store is consistently a problem and being out of stocks, and maybe an 8-foot section of cat litter doesn't make sense. You need to have more holding power. That's the type of story you can mine out of a retail pipeline subscription.
Right.
Yeah. We're seeing manufacturers use it, as tactically as like, hey, buyer, my competitor's out of stock over and over and over and over again. How much longer do you guys want to lose money? Or just give me a purchase order. I can fill these voids on your shelf like in the next few weeks. But also as strategically as, hey, what do my top 10% of performing stores have in common over some longitudinal period of time? Now, what do my bottom 10% of stores have in common? And it's like, hey, for whatever reason, if we're adjacent to this brand on this shelf at this price, sales go up 6.7%. If we do these 3 things wrong, they go down 4.5%. So guys, let's just like skip 6 months of business planning. Our new strategy, we're going to do more of this. We're going to do less of that, and we're going to make money. And it's kind of that simple, but you've never been able to line up you couldn't line up the POS data with qualitatively what was happening until now. Yeah.
So think of it. So I left the desks almost 7 years ago, 7 years in June. Right. And we didn't have a lot of this stuff. Right. So a lot of times I'd have, let's say it was you and Jeff coming in because you're the reps. Now I have to want to make a decision. Do I believe you? And do I care? Right. If you came to me with data, not bullshit stories, because you could be like the stores, we need to carry this. Why? Well, everybody wants it. Who wants it? Mrs. Jones. Okay. So not everybody, and there's no story. So it's no different than the reps coming in. They used to say, well, the stores don't have stock. Okay. Which stores? All stores, some stores, 2 stores, 10 stores, same stores all the time. Like, and we didn't have time to go run around. You could get your operations people, but they got other things to do too. If I had someone sitting down, this is why I have no problem, like, to be honest with you guys, is really why I have no problem even not pushing. Like, Phil and I don't like to push things. And I don't like pushing services, because I think everybody needs to make up their own mind. But things to put in toolboxes as brands or even retailers are pretty critical. If I can see that, yes, Phil's store for 7 or 8 weeks has been out of stock of cat litter, there's a problem. And it's probably not just Phil's store at that point. So I can phone operations and say, guys, there's holes. Either the store has to do it or we have to push, but something has to happen, because we're missing opportunities and these customers are going to go somewhere else and buy something else somewhere else.
I think the other part of that, I think the other part of that that's really cool is it's actually something like there might be a misconception that, hey, big companies could always do this. And that's a misconception, is we could never do that, right? Like, no. even at our days in big companies, it's all an infer, right? Like, I come to Kenny and go, listen, like, so 3 months ago, our sales dipped. And you go, why? And I'm not dumb. I'm going to tell you were probably out of stock. What else am I going to say, right? Like,
well, and I'd be looking, I think, so probably or for sure.
And I'll find you one obscure picture from probably the London Drugs on Robson Street, where everything's out of stock all the time.
Yeah, like, and I look at you thinking, I don't care.
See, look, right? Like, it's out of stock, right? But it was never something we could do, right?
There's also like a signaling problem in the industry. Like, I remember my salesperson sold in a big incremental display program at Walmart, and sales went up, and she took credit for sales going up. Me, as the brand manager, I went to my manager. I was like, hey, sales are up because of this pyramid architecture slide thing. That's why the strategy's working. And a few orders down the line, there's like a copywriter at an ad agency who thinks like sales went up because they nailed the headline in the print ad. And it's like, everyone's spinning data as well.
Right. And the guy who's really had the story is the guy in the store who put it in the right place.
Exactly. Right. Someone turned the corner, saw the display.
Left receiving and came to the floor. Imagine that concept. Like, it's not in receiving, it's on the floor. You might actually sell it. Maybe.
Kenny, I don't know if
listen, Kenny, you're just trying to take credit for other stuff that we've done. So I don't know what you're.
I don't know. I know. I just get so frustrated.
But like, the pessimistic take is like, I get my Nielsen data every 4 weeks. I'd spin it to make it seem like my brand's driving the category. Sure. I ought to deserve all the support. I arm my sales team, they go in, but when they leave and they're in the parking lot, my existential competitors coming in with the same data, but spun the other direction, telling a different story. So you're just going to do whatever you want to do as the buyer. And, to your point, it's hard to argue with like pictures or series.
If I can see it, I'm okay. Yeah. I don't need to be right. Yeah. Like, I don't need to prove myself right. All I need to do is just don't tell me shit. Because half the time it's always the nevers. It's the absolutes, and they're not absolutes. Give me facts. If 50% of my stores are out of stock, I've got a freaking serious problem. And so do you, because I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to discontinue you most likely, because if you don't get 50% distribution, you're probably not going to get the sales, which means I'm going to gun it without even giving it a chance. But I just assume no stores.
Jeff, you should tell these guys about the new innovation stuff you're launching, because it's all about gathering data like in the moment, right?
Hold that thought. We'll be right back.
Hey, Kenny.
Yes, Phil.
Where are we going to be March 30th through April 2nd?
Well, March 30th, you're going to be setting up at the CHFA Now in Vancouver and getting all our podcast stuff ready to go, and probably helping me set up our booth at the CHFA Now trade show. What were you going to be doing that weekend, Phil?
I was pretty excited. I think I'm going to be looking forward to hanging out with Lindsay and Aaron and I don't know, a few thousand of our closest brand friends.
100%. Right? I love this show. Especially the Vancouver show. No offense to you guys in Toronto, Phil, but the Vancouver show is a cool show. There's probably going to be close to 1,000 vendors there. They're going to get a couple thousand retailers. It is a wicked way to see what's new and cool in our industry. The only way for the natural health organic industry to grow is supporting things like this, whether supporting it on the brand side, the retail side, and really and truly, I mean, I know you and I both feel the same about this on the organizational nonprofit side. These organizations are fundamental to maintaining and growing these industries within our country. I don't know if you agree with that or how to word it, but I think these are critical organizations.
I agree 100%. I think the other thing that you'll see there is a very healthy dialogue between brands and retailers. They're going to be talking about, so CHFA is kind of where you go to talk about everything natural, organic. If you're worried about or thinking about wellness, all of those products, all of those things are going to be there. This is a show that you really need to be at. It's going to be in Vancouver, March 30th through April 2nd. If you head to chfanow.ca/Vancouver, you'll be able to find out more.
Get your tickets, get going. Great show. And Phil and I would love to catch up and meet with you.
We absolutely would. Kenny will give you a hug for sure.
Oh, you got a hug. That's an easy peasy.
Yeah. So, we kind of had this aha thing because, here at Fielding, we do a lot of different things. We've got now over 210,000 Canadians who've downloaded our app. It's a pretty mean sized panel to be able to go and collect data and understand what shoppers are thinking, consumers are thinking. And we were doing our own internal planning last year. And it's like, well, why don't we bundle our services together, because some companies come to us for retail audit, some come to us for consumer shopper insights, some are coming to us to get ratings and reviews on websites or to drive trial for their products. But one thing that was sort of common is when I'm launching the newest and greatest cookie of whatever brand and flavor you want to put out there, at the end of the day, the clock starts ticking once that item ships into the warehouse, and the next planogram's already being thought of, exactly. Right? And already being developed. So you got to get that momentum quickly. So what we said is, okay, let's get, once the product is out into the stores, or should be, let's get out there. We're going to go out and monitor, do audits at 400 stores, to tell you how your launch is doing from a distribution, pricing, facings, position and planogram, all that sort of stuff. And then we're going to stream all of those photos that we take into the Shelfgram platform, so you can see live what's happening in that first week at retail. But we're also going to give you a 3-month subscription to Retail Pipeline. So now you can watch your launch over the first 3 months. You can see how it's progressing, if issues are getting fixed, and how the competition is reacting. So if you're a brand manager or an owner of a brand and you're launching, this will give you that real time what's happening with my launch right across the country at all of the banners that you're listed in. The other thing that we're doing, aside from sort of that visibility check up front, and this is all happening sort of in the first 10 days of launch. So we start the audits and then we get a report back to you within 10 business days, is we're getting 200 people to actually buy the item, try it, tell us what they think about the product in terms of overall satisfaction and taste and appearance and value for money, repurchase intent. So you're now getting validated data back from consumers in the first 10 days of your launch, that you can compare to your iHut data or whatever it is to see, hey, is this hitting the benchmarks, or do we have an issue? Or, hey, is this really super popular? We do stuff in food service, but like A&W, if you jump back in the time machine with the Beyond Burger, they were out of stock after a week, right? Because the demand was crazy, and there was this. So if you can kind of get those signals from a consumer perspective,
right,
that's really great. And then the other part that we have is half of those 200 people that are going to try your product are actually going to buy it through online channels. So you get the initial online orders from the main e-commerce websites, and then we get those people to actually put a review on the retailer's website of your product. So not a paid review, not a forced review, but an honest review that has a 30-word minimum. And it's not just this product sucks or this product is great. It's actual value-added information for that next person that comes on to the London Drugs website to order the product, to make a decision. Right. And when people go there, out of the gate, you've got 20 reviews on that item on the website. And that's, you don't need 1,000 reviews. You need 20 recent reviews with robust feedback from consumers to help the person buy that item the next time through. So anyway, at the end of the day, we're packaging all that together so that, you know, on the 10th day, the brand owner gets this report, and the report's actually all linked to Retail Pipeline. So as we're collecting more photos or more flyer or more whatever, all the person has to do is click the link in the report, and it will take them back into Shelfgram to see the latest pictures that we've collected in the category. So it's like a real-time dashboard for brand owners to assess the health and progress of their launch, which really hasn't existed in the past, because typically brand launches it and then the sales people take over, and then there's sort of this salespeople keeping the brand people in the dark until all the things get fixed, right? This just kind of gives
if they
a lot
get
of
fixed, Jeff,
transparency.
if they get fixed, because 3 to 4 months down the road is when the flags go up from the vendor or the brand side. If you're on the buying side, they're not flags anymore. I'm moving the game.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't move within 2-3 months, I'm not going to all the stores. I'm not checking. It came in, it left the building. I assume it's out. I assume it's on the floor. No sales, not sales good enough. It's gone.
That's why we felt the 10-day thing was really important.
I think it's critical,
because you get after on the 11th day, you can be like, hey, key account manager on account X, this report came back and showed that we only got 2 of the 5 SKUs on shelf.
Right.
In most of the stores. What's happening there? Like those other 3 SKUs are going to die unless we get it fixed.
Right.
Or, you know, what's happening? And it facilitates those conversations. Again, Kenny, to your point, real facts, real photos, not just the store down the street that I check.
But I think that's the critical part, Jeff, and that's the part that has to happen, because I know because I mean, I lived it, is all you would get is always, never, everybody, no one, and you're thinking, okay, well, that's bullshit before you start. So before you even start, I've already discounted you as full of shit. Like, tell me, okay, yeah, wow, I got a serious problem in the interior. I'm in BC, so let's pretend. Fine, then, you know, at least you could go to your DM or you phone the store, say, guys, you know, like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah,
because time does tick. You don't get a lot of time. I used to change planograms perpetually. I know stores do a year now, but just because a planogram doesn't goes out tomorrow doesn't mean you have a year.
No,
but you have even
3 months,
but you have less time, because if it doesn't get filled, the store fills it. Like, stores are stores, right? Like, they're operators. So yes, you told them what the planogram is. No, I have an empty slot. I don't give a crap. I'm going to put something in that spot so I can sell some stuff, right? Exactly. So you may never know. Like, I think of when I was sales strat and you know, when I was there, Bram was on the marketing side. That's how a conversation would go, right? Because you would launch and we go, got that thing out the door, it's gone. You know, 10 days from now, Bram would go, hey, listen, so the group marketing manager is asking. I go, yeah, it's okay. Just tell them it's all good. It's all good. You know, and he go, do you have it? Yeah, sure. I'll go down to the street, take some pictures for you. It's all good. Don't worry, it's fine. And then we'll wait like a month for Nielsen to come in, and then you'll start to see some stuff, right? But you know, or you go, I can't see it anywhere, and you call, and then the buyer would go, listen, I don't give a crap. It's not my problem, right? So you go and you find a district manager. District manager go, great, you're in the GTA. Do you know how many phone calls I get from manufacturers that there's a problem in the Oakville store? I don't care, right? It'll get fixed, right? You never really get to concrete things that help you fix things, right? Like, I think
because they forget, Phil, too. It's not, you know, I hate to say it so bluntly, and, you know, because like all retail does is lease space. Retailers don't care per se. That's not to make retailers bad. What the retailer does is they put products in stores
and they sell it.
They hope their consumers want. And if they sell, they stay. And if they don't, they leave. Right. But buyers aren't going to sit there and worry about, does every single store have it? They make assumptions that they do. And then all we do, you look at the numbers. If the numbers don't come in, you're the brand. You see the same numbers. If you don't give a shit, I sure the hell don't. Because I got 60 guys behind me. I got 40 guys, 60 guys, 100 guys behind you that want that space. So at the end of the day, I you know, if the tenant doesn't pay good rent, I find another tenant. And it's that blunt, it's that ugly. That is how it works. And I think as a brand or a brand manager or a sales rep, your window is kind of tight, and you really got to get your shit together and make sure you do have the facts. So when you do come to see a buyer or a merchandise manager, or let's say you have a relationship with the DMs, hey guys, it's factual. Here's the picks. These are Tuesday. And these 10 stores don't have it. And if they don't have it, now we can maybe make some assumptions, or at least say,
Kenny, when Jeff told me this about like halfway through, I was like, oh yeah, this is a good idea. Like when I was a brand manager, I would have bought this all the time.
For sure you would.
And it's like,
as a retailer, I may not as a retailer, but I expect my brands to buy it.
Oh,
or at least come with the data.
Yeah. I mean, like every company has sort of a stages and gates innovation process, and it's pretty rigorous. And, they check economics and supply chain, and then you just go through everything, and then it sort of gets out the door. And where's that final stage gate of,
what's the most important?
Well, look, it's 9 months, right? Like when we were there, it was 9 months to get a product out the door. And then you kind of just went, yay, it's out the door. Okay.
What's the most important part?
Right? But
close the transaction. It needs to go into someone's home. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. It's who cares?
Yeah,
I remember this. So, Phil and I, we were at Unilever. I don't know if you were there during this fiasco or not, but I was on the team that was the Go Fast team. So Go Fast, back in the day was 6 months to launch a product.
Yeah.
It's just pretty fast.
I was on the team for Carb Options, which was a low carb lineup of Unilever food products with just less sugar in them, basically. And man, we got it out the gate. It was stacked high, and it was there.
Fly.
There was no flying happening, Kenny.
You got stacked high, right?
It got stacked high, right? And I literally, this is the thing, is that I was leaving Unilever. I was moving to Montreal, and I had, kind of let my intention be known that I was leaving. And they said, well, just stay until the end of May, and then we'll put you on this project. You'll launch and you'll be gone. And, I literally walked out the door on May 31st as the gate was slamming, as the product was going out. And so it was good. They had a scapegoat, because it's like, that Doucette.
That guy.
Put too much into, now we got to, this and that. So I literally, I was cleaning out my golf bag the other day, and I found 2 Carb Options golf balls that I still have. So I'll have to,
that's hilarious.
That's 15 years ago now, almost. So,
wow.
But that's the mentality. And it's also because there's a void in data from when you ship to when you actually start to get a decent read. The first Nielsen period, everybody's like, well, that's the first Nielsen period. So you're actually waiting 8 weeks. And in 8 weeks, you've gone through 2 supply chain meetings. You've been media, buying media, potentially putting media into the air when the product isn't on shelf. There was an interesting one, Bram and I, we've seen this launch. One was in the cereal category, where you saw amazing visibility for 3 or 4 weeks, and then a huge trough because the displays ran out. Right. The planogram wasn't being redone, and the product wasn't available for people to buy in store. But if that brand was buying media in the trough, they were wasting their money, because there's no product out there to buy.
Right.
Or if they're in the flyer, right?
You're in the flyer, same thing.
Page 1, hot deal, get all the shoppers to the aisle. They buy all the competitive stuff. It's like negative ROI. Yeah.
Or you come to me, like you said, it's 8 weeks. It's 8 weeks to get to you, 12 weeks before it gets to me. You know what I do when you guys bring me Nielsen? I laugh at you. That's great. So you're showing me the rearview mirror. That's 3 months ago. Do you know what's happening today? Because I'll fill in the gap for the 3 months that you're not telling me about. I don't give a shit what happened in the past. It's a trend. I get it. But are you up to date? Because there's 3 months of data that you don't have in front of you. I have it. And if you don't know where your product is, I don't give a shit what the Nielsen showed. I'm going to tell you what's going to happen today. And today may not be the biggest picture, right?
Difference between sort of like, hey, Kenny, we're seeing, a swing in the GB plus MM channel versus like, hey, okay, this store on Lansdowne, here's what's going on. Now let's look at this one. Totally different. Yeah.
It's just a hard one, because again, it's the data lags, it's all the other stuff, right? This is why I like this in the sense that it's now.
Yeah.
Like bringing me Nielsen 3 months after the launch and give me 3 months of data to just point see that spike. That's fantastic. I'm happy for it. I'm happy 3 months ago you had a spike. Good for you. Congratulations. You can do cartwheels. You guys can all high five and go for drinks.
So
but there's a 3-month gap that I had that I'm going to tell you about now as real POS. Like, so if you don't know that part, because you haven't gone to stores, you haven't checked to make sure that things were maintained. Did that display or get refilled? Did it get tossed? Probably got tossed because nobody's going to keep it up. But did the planner get filled then? Like what happened?
So hey, something I want to put a pin in.
Go for it.
Back to this, Phil. No, we should talk about your thing. But increasingly, a lot of our customers are using our tool like as an innovation tool and to kind of understand retail trends and category trends. So we should talk about that. We're doing a lot of development there. There's a lot of cool new AI systems we're working on, and I'd love to share a little more about that.
Yeah, do that. Let's do that.
Okay. Well, it sort of started with a couple of conversations that Jeff and I were having, but Danone sort of famously or maybe infamously missed the Greek yogurt thing, and I had always wondered about that. It's like an undisclosed sum of billions invested into Stonyfield. It's like, but how'd you miss the Greek yogurt thing? But it just accelerated so fast out of the natural food channel and then hit mass and took off. And it's easy in hindsight to look at these, these things where there's a lot of noise, but how do you parse the signal from it? In the tech space, basically overnight, all the Web3 gurus are now like AI experts. And if Web3 caught on, it would be like, well, how'd you miss Web3? But, it didn't. What we realized is that we had been building a bunch of tools for shopper marketing users to be able to track down very specific creative campaigns. And in the process of building sort of this advanced text search feature, we had to extract all of the text metadata off all of the photos. And we realized that we would have seen like a spike in that case in the word Greek. Like all of a sudden the system just programmatically detects this Greek thing is spiking in yogurt, right? And then we started thinking, hey, more broadly, like, we can just pick up on cross-category trends. Like Gen Z a little while back was really into like unicorns, and we detected unicorns across every category on display headers. And then we started thinking about it within the context of assortment, of understanding assortment, even in unlike attributes. So for example, in coffee, what percentage of the category is instant versus Arabica versus espresso versus Costa Rica, things like that. But what we want to do is basically run the curve on every idea, because it's sort of a market share of ideas, keto versus gluten-free versus halal versus kosher versus who knows, and be able to produce a report showing, okay, these are the top 10 trends in the category. And then also these are the things where that curve has started for the first time, to dip. And maybe there's a white space kind of blue ocean opportunity where something's about to replace, something like keto as an example. Yeah. So we've had a lot of interest in that, and we think it's super cool.
It's interesting, right? Because you kind of go, so for listeners, right, this is that moment where you think of a new idea, right? Because we have lots of entrepreneurs that listen to this show, and you kind of go, is this worth something? And then you go Google Trends, right? Like the trend is I go Google Trends, then I go to Instagram, I search hashtags, I maybe look at, and then I go into TikTok and try and figure out what people are looking for, what people are talking about. And then I decide, right? Like, do I have something here? And then do I go figure out what it is? But you're doing it from a more methodological.
It's a later stage. Yeah, but I'll tell you the advantage is that retail is a forcing function, because you have finite real estate on your packaging, right? Yeah. You can only make a handful of claims, right? And there's no, cost of a digital listing or additional SEO keywords or things like that. So looking online is really important, but once it goes to retail, it's real. There's market share attached to it. Companies have taken a stance. That's kind of the moment that you're going to see business impact. So if you can monitor it at that moment, that might be, well, at least we have a thesis that could be the way to parse signal from noise.
I'm all in, like, because I think even in my mind, I think of, Kenny's going to laugh, but I think of the number of hours that we've burned with companies when they're talking about new flavors for launches. Look at his face. It's the best, right? Like, how do you choose between passion fruit and like pomegranate berry, right? And you kind of go, guys, just, you're the experts. What do you think? And they go, wow, I think it should be passion fruit, but I'm not sure. And you're like, no, that's as sure as you're going to get. Like, but this search would allow you to go, listen, like passion fruit was something that occurred a lot, 12 months ago,
right? But right now,
yeah, if I see less and less,
we're starting to see
guess what?
pomegranate berry, like they're spiking,
okay.
right? So if you want to
and
get
how long
on,
would that take?
you know what?
10 minutes, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Not
or
6
1
months.
minute.
Seriously, I gave
Not the
people a
3
chance.
hours we blew with clients.
3 hours.
Trying to...
3 hours.
Phil,
months.
we work with a management consultancy, and they're advising, or they were advising a Swedish company on market entry into Canada. And the company asked them, how important is a made in Canada claim to Canadian shoppers? And we sort of gave them a beta preview of the tool. They were able to just type that in and run the curve and be like, this is how important it is, right? But relative to whatever other claims they could make.
Right.
And yeah, Kenny, it's kind of to your point. It's, I've seen it a lot versus, okay, here's the chart, right? Like, totally
I think that's what
story.
people, I think that's what, see, to me, it always comes, like, if you want to talk it at the end of the day, like buying can be very emotional anyway. Like you buy based on what you're sitting there, you think, okay, that's got some eye appeal. Well, that's a nice size package. Okay, it's a perfect size fit on the shelf. It's a perfect size for the consumer. The retail's perfect. Those are good. Because I think what you're hopefully assuming is that the person who's presenting has done enough research to say that this is actually going to go. Nothing's a guarantee in life. You take chances and thing, but it would have been so much nicer. And a lot of times, especially on stuff that my gut was saying, I think I can do this. But fuck, if I do it, I got 6 months, like that's all the shit, the work I got to do, all the time it's going to take. And is it really going to work? If you were able to come to me and say, listen, I'm just letting you know that, we scoured California because I was in BC. And you know what? This is really starting to pop. Here's the last 6 months of metadata is showing that, yes, this particular, whatever it seems to be getting some traction. And then I at least and you could tell me and I could say, okay, with those guys, maybe it's even now it's some intel. You phone somebody, hey, is it actually selling, or is it just people talking? You could do some stuff, but in the old days, it was a lot of coin flipping. How you felt? I think it's going to go. It looks like it should. Now I'll give it a shot, but not the smartest way to do things on either side. Worse for the person who's doing the product because you're going to get it all back anyway. For the retailer's limited risk, it's unfortunate, but that's the way the game plays.
Well, I think
that's kind of the new vision.
Some of the stuff that Bram, we were sharing, like we kind of geek out on data like a lot. Like Bram will just text me something. It's like, hey, look at this guy.
Cool. The two of you geek out on data?
I've never heard of anybody who does that.
But it's just like random stuff, right? Random thoughts. But one of the things Bram has been able to capture is like, hey, what are the things that are showing up in a particular market, right?
I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
Or what's sort of popping out, and I kind of think to Canada as a test market as well. And when I go back to my time at L'Oreal, we had a very Montreal centric view of the world, just like all the Toronto companies have a Toronto centric view of the world. But one of the things that happened, I if I remember correctly, it was like Got to Be or something like that, the hair care brand.
Yeah, I remember
that. And it actually launched on the West Coast, primarily with London Drugs, but maybe at Save On too or something like that. And at L'Oreal, we were blind to it for a year and a half, because we had one person in Vancouver and they might have sent us an email about it, but it didn't get forwarded on to the right people. And then all of a sudden this Got to Be brand in BC was like a 6 share. And we're like, what the hell's going on? And they're launching nationally because they're, so not only does a tool like this help you see what's happening where you're at, it's also helping you see what is starting to evolve in certain parts of the area. And
right.
If I was someone in Toronto managing a brand and had, a Quebec activation team, I'd want to have a read on what's happening in the Quebec marketplace that's different from the Canadian or, the English Canada marketplace and what is resonating right now with Quebec consumers that's different than English Canada consumers, because that's going to help me get an advantage in that market.
For sure.
As well.
And plus you got to even break that down. English Canada consumers, there's 4 of them. You got Maritimes, Ontario, Prairies, and BC.
Yeah.
And you know what? As nutty as we all think Quebec is in the west side, or the west part side of the country, they think we're nuts too. because we run two different worlds, like because we're split by the mountains and they have language, but it's two different worlds. Just those two provinces are completely different than Ontario.
Yeah.
And then you got Alberta and Mansat, they're another complete, and then you got the Maritimes, completely different. I mean, seriously, we got, so if you can get reads on what's happening, or if you can see a little bit ahead, that's a problem. We just didn't have easy tools. Like I could have done what you guys are doing with the stores, but I got to email 78 stores, find out who's going to do in each store, who's going to go take the pictures, when are they going to go get the pictures, how fast am I getting the pictures back, which stores are they going to go? Like, I mean, seriously, you're thinking, Mamma mia, by the time I get this data, you'd phone the rep, who would basically tell you they could, and they'd probably go 3 local stores, right, Phil? And that would be it. I think, okay, that was helpful. And
listen, I went over and above. I always got you 5 stores. All right, so you just need.
You crushed it. At least it was, and maybe hopefully in different parts of town. Like at least give me some diversity.
Oh, wow.
Well, and Kenny, by the time Phil mailed you the Polaroids in the mail, and Canada Post took 4 or 5 days to deliver them.
It's not back to. I don't know what a Polaroid is. So I'm sorry.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Coming back to this, we'll track you eventually, Kenny. That's
Kenny. We've turned that basically into a database call. Like Jeff and I, we definitely do geek out on that. I sent them an Excel report of every brand that we've spotted in the US that has never been spotted in Canada, ranked by the prominence of the brand on how many displays they get, how often they're in the flyer, things like that. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool data.
That's cool data. That's awesome data. Because
what do you mean that's cool data? Why are you being so glib about it?
No. There's a lot of those. Or we had one company come to us and they were talking about like M&A stuff. And I was like, well, what if we just ran a query, which is like, what brand that you don't own occurs globally in the most photos with brands you do own? And that would be like a distribution synergy potentially on a P&L. That'd be pretty cool.
Or you could just keep wandering in and out of retail markets until you find something sort of interesting, right?
Oh yeah, big companies do that all the time so well.
Right.
Yeah.
By the time they clue into something's happening, it's already passed. Like the Greek yogurt with Danone, to your point, has always made me laugh. I thought, fuck, even private label was out faster.
Yeah.
Like seriously,
that happens in
really
every category with like marketing claims, different things. And it's like, I worked in categories. I mean, Phil, I think in prestige skincare is like 25% of dollar volume sold in the latest 12-month period is on SKUs that didn't exist before that. And it's like, if you don't innovate, fifth the category, fourth the category, like gone each year.
Right. New is cool. I mean, that's especially in those
demands it.
Right.
Yeah.
And well, especially in those, because you're getting into vanity and a whole different world. And that's hope in a bottle is a whole different world. But when you're into food, trends are cool.
Yeah.
But it's not that complicated per se if you just look. I mean, really, by the time if house brands gets into a category and you're not there, like you kind of missed it.
So let's nerd out for a second. So we Jeff and I have been experimenting actually using ChatGPT, and what we're doing is we're giving it just an unstructured blob of data, and we're saying, can you parse this and extract all the marketing claims that are being made? And it's pretty good. Like, we
got to do this like offline. Like seriously, we want to see this shit. Like I want to see what you're doing.
It's like, starts acting fast and lasts for 30 minutes or something like that. Right.
Yeah.
But then the cool thing is, as we unlock these new tech capabilities, we just loop over all the history and retroactively create a whole new index. And it's like, we also just might happenstance be sitting on the world's largest and most up-to-date claims database that you could query and get alerts. Hey, my competitor's making a new claim, or hey, we want to make a claim non-toxic for kids. How risky is that? Well, 6 manufacturers have been making it since 2004 across 5 categories. So low risk. Like that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So I have to tell you this. We had an exchange on, and she, you know what she said about you? She said, Bram's the best. She said, if he told me to jump off a cliff, I would, because he's seen something that I didn't, so I should just do it, is what she said.
Yeah, that's what Christine said. I know Jeff and I work with a guy named Ralph, and he texted me about that. And so I sent Christine a text. I said, don't jump.
I'm full of shit. I actually don't know. I don't see anything.
Yeah.
No, I asked ChatGPT and he said not to, and it's told me not to jump yet.
And I didn't verify to see if it was actually right.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's sort of dystopian, this new tech reality, but it's so powerful. Yeah.
It's powerful if you just go with it and you don't do any, little homework.
Right. I think, kind of sitting here a little bit and kind of thinking about sort of the arc of this conversation, what's really interesting, and Bram is, brand guy, brand heritage, right? I'm sales guy, grew up on the streets calling on Shoppers Drug Mart stores and building Q-tip displays at Walmart type of thing. But when you think of all of this data that we've talked about, whether it's, hey, is my display up in store, or did I get 3 facings of the planogram, or what brands are being sold in the US are not being sold in Canada, or what is this claim? Is there legal risk? What it really speaks to is, with retail pipelines, it's not just a tool for brand people or salespeople. In the organizations where we have launched, we see usage across the organization, from supply chain to marketing to sales to legal to, everybody in between, because the data there is so rich, and everybody can get value out of seeing what's happening in stores at the end of the day. I think it's the ultimate ground truth of CPG and retail is you need to know what's happening at the stores.
Yeah.
You know what's happening at the stores, it's powerful. And if you can see what's happening in 400 stores a month in your category nationally, that's makes you the most knowledgeable person in the category.
Exactly.
And that's the power, right?
And it's critical, right? Remember, it just starts, it ends in the stores.
Yeah.
Whether it's the online store or the bricks and mortar store, the customer has to pick this up. Otherwise, it really doesn't. I don't care how much time is spent on the rest of it. It doesn't matter.
We all of our enterprise plans come with unlimited user seats. We don't charge for users. There's no gotchas with any of the software. But like to Jeff's point, like what we've kind of seen is now there's a common understanding of the category, whereas before it was always like almost a filter bubble geographically based on where you happen to be, right? So
stores or in the building even.
Yeah, exactly.
Geographically, you got a sales floor, you got a marketing floor, you got the operations floor.
Yeah.
Don't just assume the same building.
No.
Yeah.
These will be Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. Same.
We'll see people pop in sometimes for like 20 seconds, as a user session, and they're obviously in a meeting and someone had a question and they just like pop in, get the answer, and then close it,
I like it. I like the fact that it's multi-departmental. I like the fact that marketing can look at it. I like the fact that sales can look at it, buying can look at it. To be honest, logistics could probably look at it too, because as they're pissing and moaning as you're filling the warehouse, you could show them potentially why. Because a lot of times everybody just wants an answer, like, why are you doing this?
Right.
Yeah.
You probably validate that side too, right?
We actually had a manufacturer in the US, and they found out in our data, kind of like looking in the time travel, that one of their local competitors couldn't supply Kroger, I think in the Northeast, if my memory is correct, for a couple of weeks. And so there were a bunch of on-shelf availability issues. And they were like, what would have been really cool is if in the moment we could have seen that, OSA metric go down through the data.
Right.
And then reached out to Kroger and said, hey, we heard you guys are struggling with OSA in the Northeast. We actually have some product, we can help you out. Right. And obviously you get the short-term sales bump, you help the retailer, but more importantly, you get the data. And if your velocity is better than this local competitor, you could start to make the case to kick them off the shelves or whatever it might be. So, OSA is a huge area of focus for us as well. We think we can get some pretty cool metrics there, and nobody benefits from out of stocks. Like,
it's a
sucks
big
for the consumer,
it's a big
sucks for the retailer, sucks for the manufacturer. Yeah.
I mean, I know nobody wants to talk about supply chain is still broken. So there's lots of holes in the stores, and a lot of times buyers don't see it, operations may not see it, stores don't want to talk about it anymore. But if I had an option or an alternative, to your point, so if a brand new, they could come to me, just show me the holes. If you have the product, I'm probably going to put it in, because why not? I can't sell air.
What's funny, Kenny, is most manufacturers, when they subscribe to retail pipelines, are actually initially pretty shocked. And
Shit.
That was kind of unintuitive for Jeff and I, because we're like, you guys should know what's going on, but there's a bit of a reality distortion field, right?
And you don't have the bodies anymore. Who's going to go do all this?
And whatever bodies you do have, whether it's reps, a broker, people doing store checks, nobody, posts ugly pictures of themselves to Instagram. And so all the photos you get back, everything's perfect. All your displays are executed. And you're like, well, why am I losing market share at Sobeys? That's weird. All my displays are perfect. It's like,
it's because you're not seeing the ground truth. Stores.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, why would I do that? That's stupid. I'm only going to show you what looks great or nothing at all.
I think for listeners, like this is, we've kind of been talking about this. And so I think if you're a little brand or a big brand, like I think the big brands at this point will get it, right? There's a lot of anxiety around launches. There's a lot of anxiety about what happens out there. And you have some tools that kind of fill in some of the blanks, and then a lot of tools that just don't do anything, right? I think the other thing is for little brands, you got to look at this because this is probably the truth is this is a better spend than most of the things you're going to do. Like if you're thinking about hiring a sales rep, you got to go and look at this first, right? Like there are ways that these two guys can help you close the gap. They can help you, they can help you close the gap. They can give you intelligence. They can give you already heard that strategically, they can help you plan out the next year and what that looks like. They can help you figure out the next 6 months. Like there's kind of lots of bits here. I think because the four of us, we come from big places, right? So we tend to lean that way. But I do think for even the smaller guys that are listening, this is a huge tool, right? Like to be able to, like imagine you're a 2-person team, but you could literally be in 400 places at the same time and be able to call 400 stores. If you had that kind of capacity, you pick up the phone and call 400 stores and go, guys, I looked at your store. Like I legitimately can say, I can see your set. And you gotta cut me another order, or I gotta send you some stuff. Like that's actual dollars in your pocket, right?
I think I was going to take it further. I think for a little guy, it's even the other side.
Yeah.
Yes, you see. To me, I would for a small brand. First off, this is why we always tell people start small, start local, because you need to do this. Because at the beginning, you're trying to save some money, and you should go out and you should do this, and you should pound a little bit. But if let's say you're in Vancouver, because it's an easy one for me, and you want to go to the island, before you go to the island, before you hire the rep or the broker, learn a little bit about the island. And this is where you can use something like this. Maybe just do Victoria. You don't have to, burn the house down and spend every dime. But these guys have plans. Look at Victoria. Look at a market. Look at South Island. I don't care what you do, but get some information, find the holes, find the opportunities. Then when you're actually talking to your buyers and whoever you're talking to, you're coming out a little more intelligent too, right? Here's an opportunity. This brand is not around. This is a hole. Are you interested in my product? Again, starting small. I know what everybody does. You know what they want to do? They want to go, I want to start, I want to go national distribution, and I want to sell next week for $20 billion. Good. A little tough to do. That's okay. But, but if you start wanting to scale and scale slowly, wicked tool. But big companies, to your point, they get it. They'll do whatever they want. They should do it.
Can I be a bit provocative? I figured I'd ask you instead of Phil, because I'm pretty sure you're going to say yes.
Okay. Then why are you asking?
Some of the brokers just love what Jeff and I are working on, and they've totally bought in, and they're, transforming their business, and it's amazing. And I know we've talked about this, a bunch of them like don't take meetings with us and aren't super happy because we shine a light on execution. And if you're proud of what that shows, it's amazing. And if not, you don't want anyone to see it. But what I've been joking around with the small brands on is you don't even need to buy our capability. Just tell your broker that you want them to get on it and watch the reaction. And if they're like pumped about it, then, you just keep your broker like they're doing a good job. And if they're like,
I totally agree with
you. I don't know.
If a broker doesn't want to do it, why don't you want, what are you scared that I'm going to see that you already have an inkling that I may not want to see? Like if you're that sure about your team, what's the big deal? Because I'll tell you what, like, and it's no knock to brokers or distributors. I mean, they're purposeful within a system. Is if you're telling me your team's doing all this, and I got these two guys showing me that in fact it's not happening, then fix it. It's good for them too. It's not just for me, the brand.
I don't really get that one. Like, I guess
I don't understand it either.
I'm sure a broker friend will come and yell at us in a little bit because I don't get it. But
I wish
I just don't get why. But I don't get why. I feel like as a broker, this actually makes your job easier, not harder, right? Because now I don't need to go push uphill. I don't need to go to every store, right? It actually, like, for deployment of my team, I could have the tried and true cycles, right? So you go to the same 20, 25 stores in a call cycle, or I could start here and go, listen, like, skip the 18 stores that do just fine. Like, I know you want to go there and say hello, but you don't need to. But you don't need to. So go to the other ones where there's a problem, right?
So let's say you're a national broker. So let's say you're a national broker and you have 10 reps.
Wait,
you're based
Jeff,
in Ontario.
Jeff wants to add something.
Go.
No, I think Kenny's getting to the same point. Is that, it's a structural issue.
Yeah.
In that, these organizations were built in the 70s or 80s or early 90s to a reality where there was a lot more influence at store.
Exactly.
There's a whole bunch of things in that reality that don't exist in the 2023 reality. And, Bram and I have joked about this before, and neither of us have the skill set or the patience to do it. But, there's a different model where someone is going to come into this marketplace and say, we're going to do it completely differently and have a huge cost advantage, because why am I sending someone to Campbell River to go look at a store, shake somebody's hand and put a couple of check marks in a box, and that's costing me $300 to make have that rep do that call, when a tool like, a virtual coverage model like what we're providing here can just say, don't go to that store and save $300. And
I think that's where I was going to. You got 10 reps, 4 in Ontario, 1 put a rep in Alberta. What do you want this poor bastard to do? How big Alberta is? Alberta's huge. Like, what do you want this person to do? You want him to drive to Calgary, to Medicine Hat, back to down to Lethbridge, up to Edmonton? Like, seriously.
But if I'm a sales rep, and I'm gold, and I'm gonna, like most sales reps have, there's a call cycle I got to do. There's some commission I got to make, right? Like it's a mix, right? Of like bonus plus salary. Why wouldn't I jump on this thing and just start using this thing? Because like Kenny and I have talked about this. I live in Toronto, right? So if you went and you were the rep for Toronto, and let's say it was something simple, like let's go really basic and go, you have 6 Shoppers Drug Mart across the GTA that you got to cover. Good luck covering them, right? Like, I'm up at Yonge and Egg. I got to get to the one downtown. It takes me an hour, right? I got to get out of Toronto. It takes me another hour, right? Like, so in a day, I can do 2 calls, maybe 3 calls, right? But I was supposed to do 5. So now I'm behind 2. Tomorrow, I've got to make my way across from Pickering and do that side of the city, the west side. Like, why wouldn't I get on this thing and just go, you know what? I'm not going to the store. Like, I know the guy already. I'm going to call and go, listen, you didn't see me. I was in the store.
Yeah.
If you're all you want to be, like I was there, you know me, right? Like, I was already there. So I can see it. You got problems. Like, let me just cut you an order. Can I do that? Great. Done.
Yeah. Or just run down the aisle, give me a call back. You're going to see the same thing I'm seeing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Right? So 50% of the industry currently agrees with you guys and with us, and I don't know what's going to happen to the other 50%. I mean,
you know what's going to happen?
51 now, because somebody else has heard this out.
Exactly. And other people will do this.
Yeah.
I think, when you guys look at this, if you're a broker with 10 reps, this is sort of the 11th rep, but this is the nerd and the geek. This is the guy you don't send out to talk to anybody. He's just sitting there cranking the data. And then you get your 10 superstars to take this additional data. And this now the Vancouver rep doesn't go to Campbell River. Or what the rep from Vancouver looks at? Holy shit, I should go to North Island. I should go to Campbell River and Parksville because there's 12 stores there, not 1 anymore, Jeff, right? There's 12 and I could do a great business. And then you go up, you make a relationship, you do it a few times, and then you coast. Like, you're back to, I can phone, I can go twice a year, not 7 times. Like, it's almost like, to me, it's the nerdy, geeked out rep in the building, right? That doesn't talk to people, but helps all this team just do a little bit better.
Well, it's very militaristic. Like, it's a military strategy standpoint. It's like, to your analogy, like if you've got the Navy SEALs, they're a small group,
very small.
The Navy SEALs get told where to go based on the CIA intelligence machine saying, this is where the target is. Go there, right? Go there. And this is sort of that same system. maybe not as cool as the CIA, but you know,
still pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I don't know. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
I mean, okay, maybe we're a little sad foursome here, but it's still pretty cool.
Listen, we're at an hour. Thank you for the time.
I didn't know we were talking about this today. I thought we were doing a fast thought.
No.
Good.
So I think for listeners, one is you should reach out to Jeff and Bram. We'll put their links in the podcast notes, so you can make sure you reach out to them. If you have doubts about how you can use this, the other thing is Kenny and I, we really do love this stuff, right? So call us. We'll tell you what you can do with it. If you're worried that you're going to get on with Bram or Jeff and get sold, then call us first and we'll sell you, and then you can go there. And
I mean, pretty much, I think people know by now, we're not really like, I don't like pushing a lot of shit.
We're not pushing
if I understand something and I see it, I'll do it. But I'm not a big fan of just, pushing stuff. I think this has got serious value. And I think you should, as a brand, and where Bram went, I think if you're a small brand, I think you should ask your broker or distributor, are you using this? Could you use this?
Right? Yeah. And I would say, like, as a group and with our whole team, but with Bram and I, we don't actually sell it. Bram gives a demo, and the tool is the decision maker. Once people see it on a screen, they're like, yeah, I want to have this. And that's cool, right? That's the validation. But we also get those comments back in those demos of like, oh, it'd be cool if it did this, and it'd be cool if it did that. And that's where, the development cycle kicks in. And Bram's amazing to say, hey, we're on a demo. This person, said it would be cool if it did this. And 2 weeks later, the tool actually does that. Yeah. It's pretty cool. You can't do that in all scenarios, but that's sort of the reactivity, sort of customer service side of what we do, is just, we're inventing this tool. It's still new. It's only 2 years old. It's come a long way, but we love ideas to make the tool even better. So,
I like it. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
Guys, thanks for coming on.
Thanks, guys.
Nice job, boys.
It's fun.
It's been amazing. Yeah. Thanks.
Thanks,
and then we'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Catch you later.
You guys go. Phil, stick around.
Yeah. Bye, guys.
Ciao, guys.
Okay.
Hey.
Seriously, I thought we were doing a fast thought today. I didn't know we were doing a podcast.
I think we kicked around. I think we kicked around fast thought, but
I don't listen.
Like kind of what they talk about. No, I
like it.
I do think I really we've talked to them about so many different ideas that and like they're like that. You get on with them, and all of a sudden it's like, well, but
you know what it is?
We could never fit all of that in a fast thought.
No,
I don't actually know.
Well, the sad, see, and I guess this is. I mean, I know we overstate it and apologize way too much, but I don't like pitching. But I understand this one because I have a brand, or I have brands. I work for distributors.
Yeah,
we work with brokers.
Yeah,
I have a retail outlet. You know what I mean? Like I know the cost. Like for us, even let's say with OGB, for us to go hire brokers,
it's impossible.
Or
it's impossible. There's no way to do it. No.
Like it's not going to happen. And for the little bit, like if we're in the city, we should do it, right? But as soon as we want to scale, let's say we want to go to the interior of the province. So I want to say, Phil, you know what? Let's look at Mississauga. Like I think the more you can see, then you can make some better decisions. Maybe we look at it and say, holy shit, man, I didn't realize there's 17 other brands playing in the same space, and they're all in Ontario.
Yeah.
Like how smart is this to go? Yeah. Or, oh my God, they're a disaster.
Yeah.
Like we actually got a really good spot. We should have been here months ago, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But I think small. See, to me, small brands always had the same problems. Where do you drop the pennies you have? But you do have your distributors. You do have your brokers who are working with you. And I don't think the cost of this is. I don't remember.
I just think it was. I just think you like if you're listening to this and thinking this is a great big like AC Nielsen tool that's going to cost us like $1 billion.
No,
I think you're missing an opportunity to do something incredibly useful for not that much money. Like I honestly think that your return on investment will be so clear when you're done,
right?
That you're not going to leave this thing ever again.
I think you're probably right. I really do. And I think even as a pre-sell tool, if I had some of the data before, we got one of the distributors, a couple of the reps starting to pitch some stuff to a few of the majors.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking,
you kind of need
intuitively
this.
I get this, but
Yeah,
fuck, I wish we had a little bit more data, because I think you need to show them why you are a problem solving entity for this body right now.
Yeah.
Not with words, like show them. Here's what I'm this is what you have in your stores. Anyway, that was a lot.
I think so. Awesome.
Nobody's left. It's just me and you.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody.